The Miami Heat officially extended Nikola Jovic last evening to a 4-year, $62.4 million extension, keeping him in Miami for 5 seasons. I believe this was a great, ingenious move by the Heat. I talked about it yesterday, but I want to talk about it more today. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. To me, this is borderline highway robbery. And I know that we can throw around a steal of a contract as a term a little loosely, but I have been on the Jovic hype train really for the past 3 seasons, and there has been nothing that I've seen on the basketball court that has made me feel any different. And with this official number and extension coming in, I feel like this is great value, not only for Nikola Jovic, but for the Miami Heat. And if you're excited about the Jovic extension like yours truly, hit that thumbs up icon. I'm fired up that he's here for 5 more seasons, barring a trade. So hit that thumbs up icon if you're with me. Well, I wanted to show you this because we did a lot of discussion this offseason about a potential Jovic extension. My projection for Nikola was a 3-year, $45 million deal that had him getting $15 million per season, and obviously in Miami this year and 3 years beyond. Well, the Heat actually were a little bit more aggressive. They felt more confident than I did in Nikola, which I didn't think was possible, giving him $15.6 million per season over 4 years. So I come in just about $600,000 less than what was actually finalized. And I do want to make this important note here for the people that are curious about the contract. This is just above the non-taxpayer mid-level. So when you think about this contract, it's basically an average NBA contract, right? And this was a player that was going to be a restricted free agent a year from now. And you could have very well done this deal in the offseason of 2026. But you also run the risk of potentially him having a career year and then demanding more money, and the open kind of contract negotiations with other teams could ultimately net him more money. I also want to make this note that there are no options in this deal. No team options, no player options, which means, once again, barring a trade, Nikola Jovic is going to be here the next 5 seasons, this year and 4 years beyond. And I think this is a great deal for a lot of different reasons. One of them is another extension that happened this offseason. Let's look back at the 2022 NBA draft class. Jovic was the 27th pick. Jabari Smith was the 3rd pick in the draft by the Houston Rockets. He signed a 5-year, $122 million contract extension earlier this offseason. I want to show this contract for a couple reasons. Why? Jabari Smith's a good player. Really good defender. Good catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. Do I think he's $8.8 million better than Nikola Jovic? I don't think he is. And maybe it's a hot take. And maybe this is going to be looked at as a freezing cold take because Jabari Smith will get to learn under Kevin Durant and maybe soak in all the information from him this year. But if you're asking me, do I think Jovic is $8.8 million less of a player than Jabari Smith? I do not think that's the case. I think Nikola Jovic is a better offensive basketball player than Jabari Smith, and I don't really think that's close. Now, Jabari's an elite defender, so he'll definitely get the edge there. But once again, I think for the value of player you are getting, Jovic is just as valuable as Jabari Smith. I mean, Jabari Smith didn't really get a lot of playing time in crunch time situations last year, and that was before they traded for Kevin Durant. Nikola Jovic is an ascending basketball player. He was drafted when he was 18. He's 22 years old. And yes, there is obviously a main concern that we have to talk about when it comes to his availability, only playing in 46 games in each of the last 2 seasons. But you see the vision, you see the potential, you see the development. He's a 45% shooter from the field, a 38% career three-point shooter, and he's getting better year after year. And you just simply can't teach what he possesses at 6'10". The mental, the IQ, the passing ability of someone his size simply isn't something you find often. And this is a great deal for Miami. and we'll talk more about it here in a second. But do you like the Jovic extension? I think it's a great deal for Miami and Nikola. I think it's one of the more fair extension deals we've seen in a long time. Like, and especially one that's not a no-brainer, like hand him the max. Like, you actually have to, like, negotiate and find a number. I think this is a great deal for both sides. Type Y for yes if you agree, and for no. Think about this as well. Nikola Jovic, according to NBA estimates of salary cap increases, will never make more than 9% of the salary cap during his extension. It's obviously less this season because he's on that rookie contract of a 27th overall pick. But with this contract where he's getting 15.6 per season, obviously it will likely be ascending, so it might be cheaper in the first couple of years in comparison to the last two. And it's all just estimates right now. But if you average out 15.6 per season, you never have more than 9% of the NBA salary cap allocated to Nikola Jovic. That is just phenomenal stuff. And I want to make the point again. He is only 22 years old. He has not matured into his body. You don't really enter your physical prime until you're 27, 28. And guess what? This contract extension will run through his age 26 year, which means Nikola will be able to have another contract. It could be less. It could be larger. It could be much larger if he plays well when he's 26 years old entering his prime. So Miami being able to get this deal done at a pretty reasonable price level just tells you that they believe in him and they think this is a guy that's going to be in Miami for a very long time. And there was overwhelming agreement with both what I think and what Miami thinks by NBA Twitter. Zach Lowe, one of the best out there, talked about a Jovic extension earlier this week on his podcast, and both him and Fred Katz said yes on Jovic getting an extension and around this range. He believes it's a good deal for both sides. I agree. Sam Vecini believes it was a little higher than his projection, anticipation. Oh, Jesus, I can't talk. Moving on. But I like the player size, passing, and shooting. Like, he agrees. Keith Smith said he really likes the deal for both sides here. Like, listen, I know everyone's going to have a differentiating opinion, but I believe it's a great deal for Miami and Nikola. Most of the NBA world believes so. And there's clear investment here by the Miami Heat into the player and person. I'm very excited to see Nikola grow in Miami for the next 5 seasons. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we break down every piece of Miami Heat news. We are currently at 24,644 subscribers, trying to get to 25K before the season begins. But if you want to be up to date on everything Miami Heat, subscribe today. All right, final word on the extension before we kind of transition into something else on today's show. I love the value, and I love the bet on the upside for Miami. Nikola Jovic has to stay healthy. It's the biggest concern from him, only playing in 46 games of the last 2 seasons. But he is clearly valued as a cornerstone and pillar inside this organization. And to me, 15.6 mil per season signifies Miami believes this is a starting caliber player. You do not give him this contract unless you envision a big role for him. But also, it is giving Jovic the ability that maybe there's some growth here. Like, I just think that when you think of it, Nikola, has he earned 15.6 mil per season? No, probably not, because he's only playing 46 games each of the last 2 years. But when you factor in his growth and potential with what he's already provided you, that's where you meet in the middle and give this really good contract. And I just mentioned it. I think $15.6 million per season signifies he is a starting player. I really, really do. Like, I have talked about him being a starter and how I want the Heat to start him to begin the year with Herro out. And if you're investing this type of contract into him, that tells me you have a large role and vision for him. More coming on this. But grab a Heat blanket today. Wintertime is almost upon us. $29 off when you go to chatsports.com/Heat blanket. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Go grab yours now before this sale runs out. The Heat clearly value him as a featured player. And I just will make the same point again here that You don't give this much money to a player like Nikola unless you plan to have a large role for him. And I think that large role is in the starting lineup. My projected starting lineup right now is Davion Mitchell, Norman Powell, Wiggins, Jovic, Bam. I know people will want to see Kel'el Ware start because he did last season, and people wanted to see Bam and Ware together for a long time. But simply put, Erik Spoelstra trusts Nikola Jovic more. He's been in the system more. He's more offensively talented than Kel'el Ware. And yes, you're losing rim protection, but you actually gain defensive versatility. I think Nikola Jovic is a real underrated defender. Early in his career, first year and a half, he was a bad defender. There is no question about that. But the growth that I saw from Nikola last season and in those limited 4 games of the playoff series against Cleveland tells me there is an ability where Nikola could become, I wouldn't say an elite defender, but an average to an above average defender in the NBA. And he could guard 3 through 5. Ware can't do that. So you gain positional versatility and defensive versatility. You gain more spacing and offensive fluidity. It just makes a lot of sense for me to open up the games in the first 4 to 5 minutes with Jovic in that group. Brady Hawk said he believes Nico is on track to be a starter, not only because of the extension, but because of what he has seen and heard through the first couple days of Heat training camp. Like, the buzz out of training camp, at least from Brady Hawk, is that Jovic has really impressed and showing them why they should extend him, which they ultimately did. And it's clear Miami is betting on Jovic to pop and have a career year this season. The Heat could have waited on Jovic and extended him next offseason. Yeah, it could have costed you more money if he did have a career year, but he is a restricted free agent, or was, I should say, which means the Heat could have just matched any contract and they held all the leverage in that situation. We saw how that played out this season with Josh Giddey, Quentin Grimes, Cam Thomas, Jonathan Kuminga. He could have done that. But instead, they believe that he is going to have the best season of his career. They extended him a year early at a very fair price. And I hope the small bet pays off to where he does have a career year. In a year from now, we're looking at this contract as an absolute bargain. I think it is. That's why I titled this video, "The Heat just pulled off highway robbery." But let me know who you think should start. Should it be Kel'el Ware or should it be Nikola Jovic? I think it should be Jovic, and I think we're on track to see Jovic start. And I don't want to be a told you so guy, but we'll ultimately see what happens here. I know 90% of the comments believe Kel'el Ware should start. So I wonder if this changed your opinion, this being the contract extension. Obviously, all eyes will turn towards a Tyler Herro extension. Both Nikola and Tyler had to get an extension done prior to October 20th, unless they wanted to table it until next offseason. So that's where we head to next. Will the Heat extend Tyler Herro? Maximum contract extension is a 3-year, $149.7 million deal. I'm still not doing it. I would be in on an extension around $40 million per season. I said 3 for $120 is very fair. I think that Brandon Ingram contract extension is pretty much the same exact thing Tyler Herro should get. That's what the Raptors gave BI. But I also will admit I'm a little bit nervous to extend him with this injury. Herro has only stayed healthy and had a good year and made an all-star team once. Do you really want to reward it based off 1 year? I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough decision to make. But we'll be here every step of the way, so make sure you hit that sub button, join the Heat Report family, and we'll be back with another video tomorrow. Go Heat.